Today in your Community Focus, we are talking about your kids and their health, specifically obesity rates. Kaitlyn Rabb joins us live in studio this half hour. She's a policy analyst with Kids Count. A new report out today, so thanks for joining us to talk about that.
Thank you.
I want to start with why this data is unique. We've talked about obesity rates in the past, but this is special because this is clinical data rather than self-reported data. So how does that help kind of narrow the focus about this information?
Yeah, so this is a joint data collaboration project between Kids Count, Brown School of Public Health, the Rhode Island Department of Health, and those insurance companies who have the medical claims data. So what happens is we get de-identified medical insurance claims data for this project that gives more accurate data because it's from the doctors. They're marking the height, they're marking the weight, compared to other data sets on childhood overweight and obesity that really are self-reported, so can be not as accurate. So this is really a unique collaboration.
This is really what's coming right through the doctor's offices.
Right, exactly.
So this is really kind of our first block of data about this since the pandemic. Going into 2020, we are starting to see a decline in childhood obesity. This paints a very different picture. So kind of what are we seeing right now?
Yeah, so this project has been going since 2016, and this is, as you said, the first kind of snippet of since the onset of the pandemic. What are we seeing with childhood overweight and obesity? So we have seen in 2020 an increase in overweight and obesity, and so we cannot say this is what the pandemic has caused this, but it's kind of has our attention in terms of this is interesting to keep track of.
And to your point that this is more specific data of you can't argue that these are the numbers now. This isn't just kind of a disparity there. In terms of disparities, what are your takeaways looking at the data that just came out today? There are disparities about where we're seeing the bigger numbers and the growing numbers.
Yeah, so this is not something that's new to the COVID-19 world. These disparities are persistent. They've been there since we've started this. So one disparity that we really like to highlight is the racial and ethnic disparities in overweight and obesity. So 41% of Hispanic youth and 41% of non-Hispanic Black youth in Rhode Island are either overweight or obese. And that's compared to only 32% of white youth and 27% of non-Hispanic Asian youth.
Do we know why?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. There are a lot of factors. There's a lot of systemic factors that are causing these inequities with food insecurity, inequitable access to physical activity and safe and healthy spaces, as well as chronic stress due to structural racism that families of color really have to deal with every single day.
We are in the throes of back to school, as we've been reporting here, and so many families are familiar with right now. What can we do with this data, especially kind of getting back to routines and habits, and in some cases certainly access to more of those resources? How do parents and students see this and move forward now? Yeah,
so I think this is great with back to school, getting into a routine, incorporating that physical activity into your daily routine. We're getting out of summer, going outside as a family, doing stuff, and exercise doesn't have to just be going to work out at the gym. It's physical activity. It's getting active, it's moving, it's doing things as a family outdoors, whether it's inside or outside. That's really a great first step.
I often hear the phrase, just move a little every day. Make sure you're getting up and doing something. So maybe that's good advice for families of get out the door and go for a walk at the very least. All right, our good friend Kaitlyn from Kids Count with new data out today, of course. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Brian.
And we do want to give you a heads up looking ahead to tomorrow when Diana Gugliotta with AAA will join us. Can you believe Labor Day is this weekend? Yeah, we're talking about Labor Day travel, and I imagine there's a lot of it. That'll be right here in tomorrow's Community Focus.
Now.